Thank you, Father. Thank you, friends and family, for coming here today to honor our mother, Virginia Ryan Collins. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. This is often how our mother would start when she encountered a daunting task or an unforeseen roadblock. We're going to need to put on our thinking caps. My mother had a lot of sayings she used. They tended to cut right to the point without worrying about whose feelings might get hurt. You are who you surround yourself with, she used to say. Or another way she'd put it, hang out with losers, you'll be a loser. As I try to put her life into words, I find myself hearing all of her sayings. When I think of our mother, I think of a superhero. She really had special powers. Her energy, her drive, powers of perception, her amazing ability to assess a situation and come up with a plan. Her resourcefulness knew no bounds. She didn't have any superhero gadgets, unless you count the yardstick that she used to chase us with to keep us in line. She didn't need Wonder Woman's robe to hear the truth. A few minutes of cross-examination from her, she'd get to the bottom of it. She often targeted Peter because she knew he was the nicest of the bunch. Upon the second round of questioning, he would contradict himself and soon confess. Case closed. She didn't waste time. There was lots to do. She, with the support of our father, were able to overcome all obstacles put in our way, solve any problem, and achieve so much. They were a dynamic duo, kind of like Batman and Robin. In case you didn't figure it out, our mother was Batman. She set the agenda and drove the Batmobile, but for this story, it was a station wagon. Specifically a 1967 Ford Country Squire. Air conditioning, no. Dad said that's what the windows are for. FM radio, please. Automatic transmission? I think I recall my father stating that it was an extra $300, so mark that note. Power steering. Surely there was power steering. How else would you handle a 5,000-pound car while manually shifting gears on the column? No. It had power brakes, my father said, but actually that wasn't an option. I think it was a federal regulation. Did my mother complain? To the contrary, she picked out the dark green with the wood paneling. Classic combination. That'll do the trick. I mentioned the car because you have to understand how much my mother loved to drive. It wasn't that she was a car enthusiast, not at all. The car represented freedom and independence and the ability to get things done, go anywhere, and do anything. Boy, did she ever. Daylight was fading. Baseball practice had been over for almost half an hour. Here comes a country squire. I mean, wheeling into the parking lot. You'd think it was Ace Ventura, the way she swung it around. Hop in. We have to pick up your sisters. At the time our mother was born, women barely had the right to vote. In our house, there'd be no double standards. Everyone was expected to participate in sports, learn an instrument, and excel at school. She produced quite a few team captains and college athletes. Mom was an excellent driver. Family comes first, she used to say. If you think you're going to miss an event so you can hang out with your friends, you, mister, would be sadly mistaken. The family took first priority. With so many children, you might think some of us would feel neglected, but our mother had a keen sense of what you needed and just what to do. Our oldest sister, Mary Ellen, was a very bright, but painfully shy as a child. My mother noticed, of course, and had an idea. She parked in front of the bakery one evening with Mary, And much to Mary's horror, she handed her the money and told her that she needed to go in and pick up the order. I'm sure Mary was terrified at first, but our mother has a great way of instilling confidence in all of us to take on the task at hand. That and the fact that you had no choice. Mary Ellen got out of the car, she found her voice, paid the cashier. That was all she needed. Next you know, she was off to Dartmouth and Harvard Business School. Our mother could find a solution to whatever came our way. The report came back from the second grade teacher that Patricia wasn't a very good reader. Turns out my sister would rather be outside climbing a tree than inside reading a book. Our mother had a solution. First, she made Pat read the children's book out loud. By reading out loud, my mother could listen to Pat, sound out the words, and correct her pronunciation, while at the same time prepare dinner and tend to the 4 younger children. Nothing the matter here, just not enough practice. Patricia, what would you like to read? She thought about it for a minute. Mad Magazine? The next day, Pat came home to a stack of Mad magazines. Patricia went on to receive not one, but 2 law degrees. See Alfred E. Newman now. What me worry? Our mother really did have superpowers. She never gave up on any of us, and she never stopped working towards her goals of seeing everyone succeed. Financial setbacks, academic setbacks, physical setbacks, nothing stopped our mother. She just revised a game plan and kept going. She was like that pink bunny beating the drum on the Energizer battery commercial. She kept going and going and going. If you're asking our mother for parenting advice, she might tell you, boys are more immature than girls. Always. When my brother was hanging out with the wrong crowd and failing at high school, what did my mother do? Lecture him, put her foot down? Oh, there's plenty of that growing up. But my mother's superpower was solving problems, finding solutions. What is a mother of 8, modest beings, going to do with him? That's right. Apply to the most prestigious, expensive prep schools in the country. Fortunately, our mother would say he happens to have more brains than he knows what to do with. If you didn't see that coming, Michael's guidance counselor didn't either. He was recommending vocational school. Michael went on to be a National Merit Scholar at the Choate School. You got to know what you're working with. That's what my mother liked to say. Her counsel and encouragement was not just for her family and students, but everyone she had the pleasure to get to know. I remember our brother started spending a lot of time with his new friend Mark, or better known by his nickname, Tank. Our mother engaged him, like she does everyone, to see what we were dealing with here. Turns out he was pretty sharp, but food seemed to have a higher priority than schoolwork in his house. So one afternoon, when Tank was feasting on my mother's delicious whoopie pies, she said, Mark, I'll make you a deal. If you make the honor roll this semester, I'll make you a whole plate of those whoopie pies just for you. A few months pass and our mother scans the honor roll in the local newspaper and sees Mark's name. Hop in the wagon, Tara. We got a delivery to make. She knew what buttons to push. That station wagon was everywhere. The Atlantic Food Mart, Marshall's, the Burlington Coat Factory. After waiting an excruciatingly long time to get picked up after sports, I learned the Burlington Coat Factory was actually a Navy. Let me tell you something, for the quality, you can't beat those prices. Hanging out with the wrong crowd, someplace you weren't supposed to be, better look over your shoulder, that wagon was bound to show up. Up to Andover, down to Choate, back to Dartmouth. Wherever the children were, she would be there to support them. Up to Sugarloaf for the day. A day trip to Sugarloaf? That's 4.5 hours each way. Sure, we're going to meet Pat, we're going to bring back to Colby. It'll be great. Who takes a day trip to Sugarloaf? Who takes 8 kids skiing? Gene Collins. That's who. She logged a lot of miles, but when she wasn't able to get there, she devised another solution. Hop in the car, we're going to the Greyhound station in Boston. She would figure out which bus was going to Waterville, Maine, or Wallingford, Connecticut. Then she'd walk up to the bus driver, chat him up, hand him some money, put the care package behind the driver's seat. The call would go out to be at a certain bus station at such and such a time. The driver has a package for you. Mom was always thinking of us. Pat got her birthday surprise. Michael got his German chocolate cake from the holiday bakery that he loved so much. I heard recently some genius at Uber has come up with an idea of having their drivers deliver packages and food while en route. Really? As my mother would say, you mean to tell me you're just figuring that out now? With the children grown and out of college, much of my mother's work had been done, but she didn't slow down. She turned her attention back to a goal of her own. My mother had been coming to Hampton since she was little. A canvas hut at Boar's Head, a cabin at Place Cove, then a cottage at Mill Pond Lane. Her dream was to have a house on the water. After putting 8 children through private colleges, there wasn't much money left. This was not going to be easy. But then again, what is? The pen she had so often used to advocate for us, she now used to write letters to homeowners on her coveted stretch of the North Beach. No bites. Oh well, I'll keep plugging. After attending a wake one winter's evening in Portsmouth, she chose to take the scenic coastal route back to Reading. As she entered Hampton, our always observant mother spied a real estate sign in the snow on the oceanfront. Wait, it was an auction sign. Ho, 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 what do you know, Charlie Brown? Up to the Registry of Deeds to find the mortgage information, on the phone to her children to see what everyone could chip in. On a winter's day in 1992, on the lawn of 1042 Ocean Boulevard, stood an auctioneer, a representative from the bank, and her mother with a pocket full of IOUs. If you've been paying attention, I think you know who wins this battle. For the next 20 years, our mother and father could be found entertaining friends and family on our oceanfront property. 4th of July lobster bakes, playing a medley of marching tunes on the piano while her grandchildren banged on the pots and pans that she had handed them. Or just perched on the deck with a Manhattan in her hand, taking in the world below. It was glorious. In the end, when her battery started to fade, yes, even our mother, what still shined bright was her compassion. But in this world, she'll tell you, compassion is not enough. It's not enough. You gotta have a plan. You gotta get in the game. You have to stop worrying about what you can't do. Focus on what you can do. Do the best with what you have. Keep plugging, and you'll find a way. You do that, and I guarantee you'll be a success. I know this because our mother was a success. A big, big success.